Welcome to the podcast from the St. Louis Sportists, an occasionally smart, always irreverent look at sports in St. Louis and beyond. And now, your St. Louis Sportists.
Hello and welcome to the podcast from the St. Louis Sportists. My name is Ron Cook and I am joined by Joe Sperlin.
Good to be here.
And no one else. Doug Lansdowne, Tom Mathis, and Keith Farrell are all on assignment. Doug, as we mentioned last week, at the PGA Championship. Yes, Joe, it is an AV, not an AVA.
Exactly. Only the original podcast, we can call this.
It is. In this edition, at what point do we stop qualifying the Cardinal start by saying, I know it's early? Disturbing news for a Mizzou football star, and the details are sketchy in every possible way.
In more ways than one.
Yes. PGA Championship weekend, Doug is on the scene, and the NFL is definitely not hiding the Chiefs in the early part of the season for primetime games. The St. Louis Sportists are brought to you by First Coast Steel Buildings. Jason and his team will take your project from design to completion with a family-first approach. Learn more at onestcoaststeel.com, and we'll hear more from them and Sandra Templeoff later in the show. And tonight's last call is brought to you by Black Dog Consulting, LLC, here to help the one-truck owner and the small fleet owner to grow and prosper. Contact Dave at 417-217-9622. Black Dog Consulting, helping you retrieve bigger profits. You know, downloading's a big deal in the podcast business, Joe. We'd love to have people download the podcast when they listen to it. Things you didn't know. And also, if you'd like us or review us, that helps us out. We're on X, Facebook, Gram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and you can watch on YouTube at stlsportists.com. Joe Sperlin, what is your quick hit?
Well, I know we have loose ends, but since I was on assignment last week, I had a loose end I need to cover up with something I had said. You know, I talked about beach volleyball and field hockey at Missouri State.
Yes.
So field hockey is a club sport at Missouri State, not an NCAA sport. They're a Philly club. And beach volleyball is Conference USA, and they went 24-6.
Oh my!
Yeah,
I had no idea.
And Tulane, who won the conference, was an automatic qualifier. So, there's 5 local girls that play in Missouri State beach volleyball, so we'd kind of talked about that. They do have women's tennis, but no men's tennis. And Ron, they have 2 other sports that I was aware of, but once again, I did not realize this was an NCAA sport, or soon to be a total NCAA sport, is acrobatic and tumbling team.
Really?
And I'm going to say exactly what it is. There's 29 on the roster. It is a fast-paced 90 to 120 minute compulsory section, a pyramid section, toss and tumbling, and then they have a team event of all the athletes. So they have that team.
Can I just interject there? There has to be some music going on during that meet that has the doom 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 doom.
I do not know. Next year I may have to take a assignment and do that.
I'd be disappointed if there wasn't.
Have a stunt team where there's 34 on that roster, and that is actually where skills from cheerleading. They have partner stunts, pyramid and tosses, jumps and tumbling, and then a team where they combine all 3 of them together. So I've seen pictures of the stunt deal, and they've had that at I almost said JQH, but it's the Great Southern Arena. So
right.
But there you go. You're talking about in those 2 sports, 63 athletes there at Missouri State. So I wanted to correct that.
Yeah, this is where and the Sportists deeply regret the error.
Yes,
we're like the New York Times. So the stunts are probably the ones where they're like throwing the people up in the air and catching them and stuff like that. Probably.
Yes, partner stunts is how it was listed.
I would imagine.
So you can look at that in their roster. And like I said, I don't believe, the way I understood it, there's an official recognized NCAA sport of where they have a championship, but they do have a championship.
Yeah. Well, our goal here at the Sportists is not only to entertain but to educate. So,
That's right. That's
hopefully you come away from every podcast with news you can use.
So I tied up that loose end that I had left dangling 2 weeks ago.
You did, and I actually have a loose end theme, as Doug and I talked about last week, that we were in need of a loose end theme. I have found one that will debut tonight.
Nice.
So for my quick hit, it's a small nugget, and it is something that we have joked about literally since the inception of this podcast, and you and I have joked about since probably fourth grade. An online poll by Prem Sports found that they say a staggering, I don't know if it's staggering or not, but 74%. That's roughly 3 out of 4. How am I doing on my math there?
That's good. Roughly,
All
that
right.
is good.
Thank you. 74% of fans believe the NFL's outcomes are manipulated or rigged. They believe there's a script, Joe. The results show how much distrust and frustration exists among some fans, especially around officiating, betting, and high-profile moments. I go back to, and later in the article, which I won't go all the way into, they talked about the playoff game with the Saints and the Rams a few years ago when the guy, committed assault and battery and no pass interference was called, which basically put the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Right.
You could argue.
Well, I always like when people see videos of guys that do not have team apparel on and they have the earpieces in and they're walking around talking to someone else with earpieces in. And then there's that random guy that does have team apparel on that talks to him. And then you see that random guy also talking to the head coach or another assistant coach later on.
Oh yeah,
I've seen those videos.
And do you remember when the one of the Denver Bronco guy that was not being blocked that kind of started running toward Mahomes and then he just inexplicably backed up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not supposed to tackle you at this point.
Yeah. Oh, that's not in the script.
Yeah. You're supposed to pick up this first down. Never mind.
Oh, I remember what it was. The guy, and you and I have referred to this guy, and everyone probably does too. The Orange Glove Man.
Orange Glove Man, and his buddy Green Hat. Yeah.
When the Orange Glove guy was doing this, and then the official threw a flag, and they're like, "You realize that means there's no commercial. Let's go. Let's play.
Right.
There's not gonna at the stoppage. There's not gonna be a commercial." And then they were like, and then look, this official immediately throws a flag after that.
Okay. Oh dear, that's another one. It's like Doug and I said last week. We could fill an entire podcast with Ted Turner stories. We could fill an entire podcast with fishy things in NFL games.
Oh yeah.
But something that fortunately was not fishy, unless you had gambled on the Sacramento Athletics today. With 2 outs in the ninth, the Cardinals were down to an 8.1% chance to win the game, and those gritty, battling Redbirds came back and won today, taking 2 out of 3 from the first place Athletics in Sacramento. Again, the stadium last week that we said looks like playing wiffle ball in too small of a backyard.
Okay, and wait, say that again. Who did they beat?
No, technically it's just the Athletics because
no,
you're
I'm saying
to say Sacramento.
The first place.
First place is correct. I think they're 1 game above 500 right now.
Yeah.
The Cardinals take 2 out of 3. They win another series. The Cardinals, as we sit here with the Cubs still in action, are 2 games out of first place. It's like we were talking about in our intro, Joe. It's people around town. You can tell we're a bit gun shy because everyone's like, I know it's early. I know we're not far into the season, but it's like you have to qualify. At what point do you think we have to stop, or we can stop qualifying and say, hey, this is a pretty good team?
Well, you sit there and say, well, it's the middle of May, but it's also about a quarter of the season, and the next thing you know, you're going to sit there and go, hey, we're through a third of the season and we're still doing this. I think it's the case of every sports, and especially of all sports, baseball. When things are going good, you don't talk about it.
Right.
And you're going to sit there and say, hey, we haven't anticipated much. So we're just going to enjoy it and continue to not anticipate it, so we're not disappointed when we're finally sit there and bad things happen. We're like, see, I told you, I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. Jordan Walker hit another home run today. He had a double to drive in the what turned out to be the winning run. It's funny because what has come up way too soon is the buy or sell conversation. So, it was just assumed that like people like Dustin May and people like, well, we didn't think Riley O'Brien would be as valuable as he is, but oh, hey, he's like leading the league in saves. JJ Romero, those guys would be traded for prospects. But now it's like, okay, if they keep this up, maybe not.
I think that's premature too, of once again sitting there saying, okay, what do we need to make a playoff run? Oh, let's just slow down. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
maybe what you've got is good enough.
Yeah.
You're getting ready to talk about this, but did you anticipate Wetherholt being like this? I mean, I
No,
think you were the one that said rookie of the year, possibly second, third votes, and I mean, did you anticipate this?
no, I had him finishing second, and what I did
Yeah,
not anticipate, and what I don't think anyone anticipated, is he's on pace for 32 home runs right now.
right.
Keith Law said that he thought in a few years he might be a 25 home run guy. And, realistically, I don't know if he's going to stay at this pace. And if he doesn't, that's fine. But, no one expected him to be sitting here on 8 home runs right now, ahead of Otane and a number. There was a big list of
Mhm.
all of these people he has hit more home runs than at this point. He's on pace for 126 runs, 32 home runs, 87 RBI, 20 steals, and 83 walks. Those are borderline MVP numbers, Joe.
Yeah, I about to say. I mean, you sit there once again. You don't want to sit there and say, "Hey, those are MVP numbers," but right now he's one of the main reasons why the Cardinals are doing so well. And if he cools off a little bit, okay. Walker cools off a little bit, okay. But right now everything's going good.
So there was a promotion that caught a bunch of people's attention, and this is for Tom Mathis, our buddy who keeps us up to date on what's going on, down on the farm. And that is Renel Rodriguez. He is the first player in their age 19 season or younger to be promoted to Springfield. So he is at Double A at age 19. Folks, Double A is Double A is not what it was a few years ago. Double A is some serious baseball, and we've seen people jump from Double A to the majors. Now, I don't think Rodriguez is going to. Rodriguez is a catcher, and we have what has jokingly been called a catcher glut right now, because we've got Rodriguez, Leonardo Bernal, Jimmy Crooks, oh yeah, and then the 2 guys on the roster up here, 3 if you count Pozo, who had 3 hits today. Joe, they're talking that maybe they trade one or more of those guys for like a reliever at the deadline if it keeps going. But you can't play all those catchers.
No, and like I said, especially at the one spot that you can't sit there and say, "Oh, we can put them in a righty versus lefty and all that other stuff." But
Yeah.
once again, that gives the Cardinals a lot of leadway if somebody in another team goes down and they need a catcher. I mean, perfect example I have here, uh, Cal Raleigh, who was what was he, 0 for 32?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's batting 161
Right.
and he went on a list. I did not know there was this list anymore. He is on the 10-day injured list and they give
Hmm.
it the famous, I think it was a back injury. So maybe it's the days of, hey, why don't you take a break here? You're batting 161
Yeah.
and being 0 for 32. And the next thing you know, it's, there's panic setting in on some of these teams and they'll make the
Right.
Cardinals, hey, we got to have this guy or you have all these catchers. We'd love to have those.
They hand Cal an envelope and they say, "We got you a cabin in Mount Rainier. We want you to go here for 3 days and don't think about baseball."
Hey, go to Mount Rainier or make a trip down to the Bahamas and just take it easy for a little and don't think about baseball and,
Yeah.
and just do those things. But you're right. I think the Cardinals with that excess catchers, you just stash those away and see what happens.
And see if someone makes a stupid offer, because we know there are people, Mets, that will make stupid offers. And heck, even the Dodgers. I mean, some of those big market teams are not afraid to, if they think they're going to win a World Series, they'll give you something if they want something badly enough. Joe, good news for you. We now have an official timetable for the return of Lars Nootbaar.
Hey. And the Cardinals will just get better when Lars returns.
They will, because Nathan Church will move to center field. Victor Scott will become an extra outfielder. He will become a Terrence Gore, if you remember back your 2015 Royals. He will become your speed guy, your defensive replacement. And then there you go, Church, who's on pace for well over 20 home runs himself. And has played center field his whole life. Did you know that Lars, when he's healthy, is a 118 OPS for his career? Or not OPS, I'm sorry, weighted runs created plus.
Well,
he's 18% above average.
Yeah, and the thing I think about Lars is you don't have to play him every day now.
Right. Yeah. You can throw one of the right-handed bats. You can throw Fermin. You can throw one of those guys out there. So. This is, I will just say, as a Cardinal fan, not where I expected to be in mid-May at all.
No, and like you said, you're sitting there talking about positivity, and you get irritated with the bullpen right now. But right now, you're sitting here saying everything's, knock on wood, everything's going all right. We can't really complain, and we have all this extra help coming, and we have options instead of. My God, is anybody going to take Arenado?
Yeah.
What do we got to get rid of him?
Exactly. Coming to town this weekend, Kansas City. At last look, they were a half game out of last place and had lost 5 games. They are trailing the White Sox as we record here. So, trailing the White Sox.
Yeah.
And then after that, they get a day off Monday, and then the irate Pirates of Pittsburgh come to town. So I don't know if Paul Skenes will get yet another shot at the Cardinals next week or not.
Boy, hey, how about we're the only one, or we, sorry I said that, Cardinals are the only one that would say, bring Skenes on. Well, we're not that's a win.
Yeah, it's Rocky Balboa. Who was it? Was it Clubber Lang or was it Drago that he was saying, ain't so bad, ain't so bad, ain't so bad.
Yeah.
But one of the stats, and as we begin to go around the league here, Skenes' ERA in 2024 was 1.96. In 25, it was 1.97. This year, it's 1.98. That's a troubling trend. Gee, I think they should get rid of him.
Yeah, in a couple years, he might be at 2, and then there'll be some real concerns. Last week, they finally let him pitch 8 innings.
Yeah.
2 hits, 10 strikeouts, no walks.
There was one stat that I saw today, and if I can find it quickly, here it is. Because you remember he got roughed up on opening day, and so on opening day he pitched 2/3 of an inning and gave up 5 earned runs. Since then, he's thrown 49 innings and given up 6 runs.
Yeah,
that's
pretty good.
That's not bad at all.
That's pretty good.
Also, speaking, it seems like we talk about a pitcher every week. Max Fried, the Yankees ace of their staff, elbow soreness. What's the difference between elbow soreness and elbow discomfort? I'm not quite sure. But neither one is very good for a pitcher.
No. And once again, I think anytime you give it my elbow, my arm, it's the what? Yeah, let's take him out. We got all these other guys. And then you wonder why these guys are pitching 4 or 5 innings.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Chicago,
it's a big investment. No, I'm just saying
it is. And especially, when you get into guys like him and Sale that you're paying, over $20 million a year. Yeah, you got to be careful. I started to say it's a big percentage of your payroll, but then I remembered we're talking about the Yankees here. So
yes.
I guess all bets are off there. The Chicago Cubs already at this point in the season, and this blows me away, they have two 10-game winning streaks. But because of the, and I can't believe I'm forming this sentence, hyper-competitive National League Central,
Yeah.
they only have a 2-game lead on the Cardinals right now. And
Yeah.
can you imagine how frustrating that would be to have, two 10-game winning streaks? Oh, yeah, you've only got a 2-game lead.
Well, and like I said, you're about 40 games. So right there, half their games they won. And you'd sit there and say, golly, how are they not ahead? But, right now, the only team out of it is the Mets. They're 12.5 games.
And they just look worse all the time,
Yeah.
it seems like. No, that the Cubs are kind of, you almost think of like the 84 Tigers, territory there.
Yeah.
In terms of their start. Jacob Misiorowski at the Brewers, his last start, and again, start. This guy's a starter. He's not a reliever. 10 pitches at 103 miles per hour or greater. And that's, he did throw one at 103, which was the highest a starter has ever thrown in the StatCast era. Joe, did you know he did some time at Crowder over in the Show?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was kind of where he got his start kicking around. So he's got some Southwest Missouri roots there.
I did not know that. Was he the same one where Mason Miller come in and closed, and they said it was the most pitches ever in a game clocked over 102 miles an hour?
Yeah.
I think that's like he threw 10 and Miller threw like 8.
Right. And there's a guy named Mark Simon for ESPN, who's one of the great numbers dudes ever. And he's not like a boring number guy. He comes up with like good numbers. And I'll never forget, about 10 years ago, they talked about what does it mean when you throw fast? And he gave this breakdown of batting average versus pitch speed. And batting average goes down the faster, like in intervals almost. The batting average goes down as the pitch speed goes up. So it does make a difference unless you're Kyle Farnsworth and everything is, straight as a string.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, as soon as they can maybe catch it, but there's got to be just a little bit of movement on that.
Exactly. Or
well, I've told you this before. I sit there and watch those games, and I see guys, and they're like, "Oh, that was a sinker," and I looked, I was like, "That was 95 miles an hour."
Exactly.
I
remember
the sink, and they talk about we've talked about this, the sweeper.
Right. Which you're seeing more and more now. The one I will never forget when he came up was Steven Strasburg, because he was another guy that, hovered in the high 90s, and his changeup was 91.
Yeah.
Okay. That normally a good fastball, when we were growing up. So MLB correspondent at large, Joe Sperlin, anything else around the league catch your eye?
Well, you were talking about the Yankees, but the American League, it's the Tampa Bay Rays winning 2/3 of their games. They're the best team in the American League. Yeah.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, exactly. And then, hey, Major League Baseball right now has got to be looking at the playoff race going, oh my gosh. What if it started today? And then Atlanta's almost 700. I mean, their winning percentage is that. So
yeah, Atlanta's playing a really good baseball. Well, and they were talking about how, this series that I think it's wrapping up tonight, the Cubs and the Braves, is like the two best teams in the National League. And that's been some good baseball.
Yeah. And how about that? The Cubs and the Braves, best teams in baseball right there.
Yeah. Didn't have that on my bingo card.
No. And it'll be interesting a month from now if the Mets are still in this situation, what they do.
It's a good point. They do not, given their owner, Mr. Cohen, they do not necessarily have to sell or, strip people. You'd think they would just be baseball moves. They did call up A.J. Ewing, who is one of their, I believe he's their number 1 prospect, and he's like a second baseman. go back to kind of a Greg Jeffries type. He hits for power. He's fast. Allegedly fields well. He doesn't switch hit. I think he's a left-hand batter only. He does, so he's not. Jeffries was a switch hitter, but otherwise, a lot of excitement around him. So let's. How can you not watch the Mets? They're fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
So moving to our NCAA roundup, Monday morning we all awakened to some very jarring news. And anytime a young man is shot, it's kind of transcends sports. But Ahmad Hardy, the All SEC running back, he holds the single season rushing record for Mizzou, and he was shot in the upper leg. There are 3 suspects in custody, all of whom were on his high school team. As we said, the details as they come out get more confusing almost. There are reports that he's back in Columbia rehabbing with the hope of playing this year. Just a strange story, Joe.
Yeah, well, I think you said it best. Sketchy in more ways than one. I mean, when you hear that, then you're like, former teammates, you're like, what? And what all was going on, and you're right. As long as obviously it could have been a lot worse, but yeah, it's just that situation of someone with a very bright future and all that it all could have been over just for whatever. And like I said, we may never know the details or the true story, but wow.
Yeah. No, it reminded me of, LSU under Les Miles had their share of incidents. We'll just say that. And, we'll hope for the best for him. We hope for a speedy recovery. And, I imagine there will be a tremendous ovation the first time. If he does come back, you can only imagine what it's going to be like when he comes out of that tunnel for the first time.
Oh yeah, exactly.
In other Mizzou, and this is breaking Mizzou news, on November 6th, allegedly, they are finalizing a basketball game against Saint Louis University for the first time since 1991. Game that would be played at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Now, that shocks me a little bit to see Mizzou not insisting that game's in Columbia.
Well, you also wonder what else in the contract or whatever possibly could be coming back of, it's the famous, we'll come there and then you're coming here 3 years in a row.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, and then, and then we'll have the option of all this other stuff. But, it seems like to me it's amazing that, when you look at UConn and Michigan and Duke and all these guys and the Zags, it's amazing how they are loading up on their non-conference scheduling now.
Mm-hmm.
And they are at alternate sites, and they're like one of the regional finals is going to be in East Rutherford, so that's where we're going to play. It's going to be, they're playing more at those neutral sites that are big dome situation sites for them to get ready for the Final Four.
Right.
You don't want the Final Four to be the first time you've played in a dome with 45,000 people. So.
Yeah. It's almost like they're saying, we know, this isn't 1976. We're not going to have a perfect record. We're going to lose 5 or 6 games probably. So let's go ahead and play games that are going to help us get ready for the, 76 team tournament.
I was getting ready to say, I don't have to worry now. I can go 17-16 and make the tournament now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But back to Mizzou, they famously, the last time Missouri State played them, I was in attendance along with my buddy Dwayne Mathis. We drove to Columbia that night. It was a weeknight to watch Southwest Missouri State thump the University of Missouri Columbia, and they have not played us since. So be careful, Slew.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Lane Kiffin. First of all, the interview was in Vanity Fair. Is he the first SEC coach to be interviewed in Vanity Fair? I would say good chance of that.
I would say there are very few. I don't ever remember Bear Bryant talking
Shug
to Vanity
Jordan?
Fair. No.
Vince Dooley? No.
I don't think so.
Yeah. General Nealand? No. Okay.
I don't
So anyway, he made some comments about I'll politely say racism and Ole Miss, or the racial situation at Ole Miss. Ole Miss fired back, and as someone said on Twitter, no one wins when the SEC teams start trying to talk about who's more racist or who has a more racist past.
Yeah.
Just a nutty, just a crazy week.
The pictures that were posted on social media of Lane were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thing again, everything you see on there is not true. I'm pretty sure Lane Kiffin was not on the bus with Rosa
No.
Parks. Pretty sure Lane did not lead them across the Selma go across the bridge.
No.
But there was some amazing pictures of all that. I don't think there was a picture of Martin Luther King and Lane meeting. And I mean, it was just amazing of the stuff that was coming out.
The one with him at the Afro at the reflecting pool in DC. That one was, particularly moving. But the good news is some positive LSU news came out this week, and that is that the Clemson game in Week 1 is going to be primetime, 6:30 with game day.
Oh yeah.
You're getting close when you start to get game times here.
Well, just last week, Ron, and I think I sent this information to you, 111 days. We were right in the middle for the start of college football. I think it's that, Lane, going back kind of him, it's the thing of, I want to keep myself in the news. And let's keep talking about LSU. Let's keep talking about Lane Kiffin. And then, oh, hey, we're opening up game day. And then, oh, my God, week 3. Rhonda, it might have been one of the funniest things I ever laughed about was the Oxford police station going, yay, a night game. The Ole Miss LSU game, a night game at Oxford.
Yeah, they'll be throwing ketchup or mustard bottles again. For those of you that don't know, they did that at Tennessee when Lane came back after he left there. That Ole Miss LSU game, I cannot imagine what the ratings are going to be for that. That's just going to be off the charts.
Yeah. And people wonder why would not and they would get mad when game days at the SEC, it seems like every other week, but
yeah.
I mean, why would you not? But
speaking of the SEC, Paul Feinbaum, who got his start in the SEC, was talking about something that has picked up a lot of steam, which blows my mind, which is a 24-team playoff for college football. And Feinbaum said that would destroy the importance or relevance of the regular season. Things I don't say often. I agree with Paul Feinbaum.
I 100% agree with Paul Feinbaum. And here was another one too that I think a guy, Mike Greenberg on ESPN, and we've kind of already talked about this, said if we live in a world where Ohio State and Michigan rest their starters for that game at the end of the season because they've got the potential of a 5-game playoff sitting in front of them, then college football as we have known, it ceased to exist. And I 100% agree with that because, first of all, the championship games would be done.
Right.
And which we kind of saw that coming as soon as they even expanded to what they're doing now. But that is going to be my last call on at something that could happen. But right now, you got the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and Notre Dame are in favor. Now, what do all those teams have in common? I can't imagine. Someone who recently got the shaft in the college football playoffs. So
I heard someone suggest that Notre Dame has insisted that if they go to 24, they're automatically guaranteed a spot every season, no matter their record. I think they were kidding a little bit. And it's when do you have to start that? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, and they've already kind of set that up of, you eliminate that, the championship games, you start during the week 0. I mean, it actually kind of would work out good where they could do that. I just don't think anybody wants to see a 2014 playoff.
No.
Well, I don't say anyone. I just don't. I just don't think that's realistic. But as I
And
said,
the,
we will get to it later. Money has a funny way of making things realistic and feasible.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And our last NCAA item, out of nowhere, tennis came back at the University of Arkansas. They announced today that a private donation will allow the tennis program to return at the University of Arkansas.
And might have been what they were looking for the entire time. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think the Division twos and all that are going to happen, but I'll say that Missouri Western last May, announced that they were going to eliminate track. And then about 2 weeks later, they come back and said, no, we have had private fundraisers and people going to step. So, I mean, I don't know. Is that called holding hostage, ransom? I don't know.
Extortion, yeah. It reminded me a little bit of when the Cardinals in '95, Anheuser-Busch announced they were selling the Cardinals, or the Cardinals were for sale. There was strong speculation that the buyers had already been identified and were well down the road to finalizing the deal when they announced they were for sale.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, oh, we have to announce this. It was kind of like the spreadsheet had all of the steps, and that was where they did the sale announcement. But anyway,
yeah.
So with that, it is time to hear from the good folks at First Coast Steel Buildings. After the break, it's time for Loose Ends, and there's a lot of NFL news because the NFL has found ways to keep itself on the calendar year-round. All this and more when we come back.
Spring storm and tornado season has arrived. Are you prepared? Why not build a new steel barndominium or outbuilding that will have you ready to weather the storms? Do you want your next home or building to be engineered for the proper wind loads for your area? Then look no further than First Coast Steel Buildings. First Coast Steel offers excellent material value and can help to reduce your insurance costs. And they can help you with your needs right here in the Midwest, where we see tornadoes and flooding, along with infestations of mold, rodents, and termites. Let First Coast Steel design your next building project and keep you and your family safe. Call 912-314-4848 or get inspired and design your own by visiting them online at the number 1stcoaststeel.com. Storms will happen. Prepare yourself with a new First Coast Steel building. Discounts for military and first responders.
And we are back on the St. Louis Sportists podcast. Along with Joe Sperlin, my name is Ron Cook, and it is time for Loose Ends. I believe Mr. Farrell is probably wrapping up some loose ends again tonight. Busy guy, that Keith Farrell. Last night, your St. Louis City won their second game in 5 days.
Wait, what was that? Wait, what'd you say?
Second win in 5 days, taking down LAFC after taking down Colorado on Saturday. They've given up 1 goal over that period of time. Good things happen when you hold teams to 1 goal or fewer.
And when you score more than 1 goal.
Yeah. And so they're scoring a little bit, and they're playing much better defense. So, of course, what's happening, that 54-day break for the World Cup is approaching, So you get the momentum going, and then you take, almost 2 months off. But, hey, they're looking so much better. It's crazy. And these are pretty good teams. They're not beating bad teams. They're beating some very competitive teams here in the West. So there is hope. There's just hope everywhere.
Would that be, I think, was it Major League when he said, you've won 2 in a row? That's called a winning streak.
It is. It is a winning streak. Yeah. And I believe they've got 2 more games here before the break. So there's a chance to actually stockpile some points. We'll see. Closer to you down there in Springfield, Missouri, Joe Sperlin, the Missouri State Bears made a hire of an assistant swimming coach that made national news.
Yeah. The guy has had a successful swimming career, has won some gold medals in the Olympics, and I think Rhonda, she saw that and she said, "Hey, is that the same guy we saw in the Olympics?" I said, "Yes, that's the same guy." So I think that's probably what a lot of people in Springfield are saying.
Yeah, Ryan Lochte is an assistant swimming coach for the Missouri State Bears. Now, they've always had an incredibly competitive swimming program. Jack Stack was there when I was there. Not the same guy that makes barbecue in Kansas City.
No,
This is a
no.
very different Jack Stack.
Yeah.
And but no, he is like he's got to be Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. I would have to believe.
Oh yeah.
And so no, it's a very, very good program, and probably one of the reasons that Ryan chose to come there.
Oh, and I don't know all the story of all the connections, but I'm sure there's somebody, the old famous, I know somebody that knows somebody that, hey, this guy wants to, hey, I know a guy that's pretty qualified that would come in and do this.
Now, it turns out he and
Oh.
Brad Pitt like vacation together. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
It could be.
He may go hunting with Johnny Morris too. I don't know.
Yes. The PGA Championship is at the impossible to pronounce Aeronymmic course outside of Philadelphia. Our own Doug Lansdowne is on the scene. Sent us a great picture of he and his lovely wife Christy at the top of the steps. This is our second Rocky Balboa reference of this podcast.
Yeah.
Standing next to the statue of Rocky at the top of the library steps there. We counted just before we went on the air, 7 people are tied for first after the first round, and we're not going to name them all because this will all have changed by the time you're listening. I did see that Bryson shot a 76 today. Ouch.
Ron, it reminds me of the old joke, I'd always wanted to play golf like Bryson, and, now I am,
Yeah.
He hit that putt and knocked it about 40 yards past. I'm sitting there going, whoops, misread maybe something, but they said, hey, that's the last place you want to be on that green. Well, you don't think he knew that, but yeah, there's a couple of them kind of irritated with things. Roy threw a little fit, slammed his driver around and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Before it started yesterday, he said, bomb your drive and figure out the rest later. Apparently, he's figuring out quite a bit.
Well, he was bombing his drive, but he didn't like it because he'd give his driver a beating.
Yeah.
Hey, the other thing is there would have been 8 if that guy could have made it in time. I forgot his name.
Someone had a tin cup moment and was late for their tee time for the PGA Championship. How are you late for your tee time for the PGA Championship?
Well, his conversation was pretty humorous on the fact that he said, I was late, but I was there in time. I was on the tee box, but you're supposed to have. But then I thought they said that one of the guys had already hit. They announced him and he wasn't on there. But it was kind of that explanation of, yeah, I know the rule, but even though it was wrong because I was there on time, I wasn't ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I explained, that's why you have rules. If not, people just show up whenever they want.
And the dog ate my homework.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. In the world of hockey, Craig Berube was fired by the Leafs. Berube's a guy in St. Louis that will never have to buy a beer for the rest of his life because he was the head coach of the Stanley Cup winning 2019 St. Louis Blues. I doubt he will be out of work for very long unless he wants to be. But Toronto. There's a joke about Joe the Marks. What do the Marks brothers and the Maple Leafs have in common? Have you heard this one?
No.
Their best moments are in black and white.
Okay.
Yeah. Leafs have struggled for a good long time, and the league headquarters is there, and they have a little bit of a sense of entitlement. So, frustrated fan base. Rick Pitino had some thoughts on going to 76 teams in the tournament. He said, when I hear people are upset the NCAA expanded to 76 teams, I think, why and who cares? The best teams advance and more teams get to experience the great on earth, Pitino said on X.
Well, this year Auburn would have been one of those teams. They always like to brag that the winner of the NIT is the 65th team. And I mean, it would have been easy if Auburn had not won the NIT, but then you kind of sit there and go, well, maybe Auburn should have been in, but they will probably get that shot. I mean, I think one of the funniest things I've seen was people saying, well, how are we going to do the brackets? One of the first things was, how are we going to do the brackets? How are they going to put out the brackets? And I think the first comment by everyone that the bracket makers and Yahoo and all those people said were these playing games are just like the other ones. We're not really going to anticipate they even happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as I told someone, hey, that gives you now 3 extra games that you can think you can handicap and bet and lose on Tuesday and Wednesday instead of only 2.
Exactly.
So there you go. Yeah.
And you said something that I had not thought about this, Joe, until you said it just now. Think about the leftovers for the NIT. They're going to have to take teams with sub 500 records, probably.
Well, and they're back down to 32, and then this year they had 10 or 12 that kind of threw little tantrums and said we're not going.
Right.
So I mean, they had that CBI and all that other stuff. I don't think teams really care. If I'm second in the Southland and I won 25 games, I'll go to the NIT. We'll get a home game and I'll get a couple more things to play and try to get them in tournament experience of playing in March. And I mean, I don't see a problem with that.
If you're 15-20, Penn State, maybe not so much.
Yeah, but I'm really interested on what this next year is. Is it going to be those mid majors that didn't make it, or is it going to be the 17 and 16 SEC teams and all those? I think the one thing I saw was that they were going to split the difference between the two, and I'm like, that's just people talking, because as we all know, the tournament, we have our own standards and regulations that we have to follow to pick the best 76 teams for the tournament.
Yeah, they have to lock themselves in the hotel in Dallas and et cetera.
And then they show the deals for a week of everyone sitting there watching games. It's like the college football teams. They're sitting there just everyone's staring at a screen, and or they have them there at their computers. And they're like, all right, the camera's on it. Everybody, like, you're looking at your computer.
I think of when a certain presidential candidate was allegedly on the phone and held the phone up, and it was the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, with that, we moved to the National Football League. The schedule came out it had been coming out in drips and drabs, and it came out officially about 2 hours ago. We were wondering in the last couple of weeks if the NFL might not want to show the Chiefs early in the week or early in the year due to the fact that Patrick Mahomes may not be back from his injury. Wrong. They are hosting Denver on week 1 of Monday Night Football. And then they've got a Sunday night game on week 2, and they've got the Bills on Thanksgiving night with no international game, which they're apparently excited about. What do you think overall for the Chiefs, Joe?
Well, if you're wondering if Mahomes is going to be ready to open the season, I think that was it. They just answered that question for you. I mean, I'll say this: they're planning on him being there. I think they were already talking about the OTAs and all that stuff that he was going to be there. Now, how much he's going to do, but that gives Justin Fields a lot of time. Justin Fields for the Chiefs, I think, would be a good quarterback. Now, I'm sure that's not what the NFL or all those other ones want for that. But if you're a Chiefs fan and you're saying, is Mahomes going to be back? Yeah, you're counting on a week 1 or 2 because they wouldn't be doing that. The international games are amazing on where they're all playing now. I mean, and that that just continues to do things.
I'm just happy that I'm not in charge of security for some of those.
Yeah, and I that's going to be more and more, and and then them going to an 18-game season, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a lot of football.
Keeping it in Kansas City for just a second, and this will get to, of course, my favorite subject for the next couple of months, which is the World Cup. It is not. We've talked about the fact that the World Cup is not going to allow it to be Arrowhead or GIA or GEHA or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be Kansas City Stadium, and I was thinking, oh, they'll just cover it with a tarp. No, there were pictures of them taking the lettering off of the stadium, like with a crane this week. So the letters were physically removed. The pitch is down. Pitch is the soccer field, folks.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's a lot of that's probably not cheap to take that down with a crane and put those up and then put them back down. But
I think FIFA can afford it.
Yeah.
Especially with what they're charging for tickets.
I was getting ready to say that's why those ticket sales are so high.
Yes. The upcoming season of Quarterback on Netflix, they've announced who they're going to be following. Jaden Daniels, Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield, and Cam Ward. Who do you think's our breakout stars there?
I don't know if a guy would watch that. Probably Baker.
Yeah.
Maybe for the entertainment. I
Yeah.
just don't know if that's the people, I guess Jaden Daniels, but I don't know if that's, and I know you got to do that. That's saying, what's that? You want to say, hey, we're promoting our young stars. Hey, Joe Flacco's one of the, oh, he is? What?
And people are like, he's back this year? Yeah. He's back. So Joe, you've coached a lot of football. You're a championship football coach. I saw that the Pittsburgh Steelers, they drafted Drew Allar out of Penn State. He had a good career there, obviously, and it says that Pittsburgh is uninstalling, that's their term that they used, everything that he learned about playing quarterback at Penn State. It says Pittsburgh is reloading its own fundamentals and mechanics. You ever heard anything like that?
I have not. I wonder what the relationship is between McCarthy and James Franklin. If there is, because that is something I have never heard of, uninstalling everything. I've heard of mechanics from the offense they run. Right. It doesn't base, but what they did at Penn State, I would say, was pretty close to being NFL stylish.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to reloading their fundamentals and mechanics, that is not good for James Franklin, especially if he would have still been at Penn State. So maybe that's the way of sitting here saying, hey, what happened at Penn State was not his fault, and trying to get Drew in a positive state of mind of, hey, we're going to fix everything you did because that was not your fault.
Yeah. You're, as they would have said in Peanuts, absolved from all blame. It reminded me of one of my favorite stories. You remember a guy named John Saka who was at Penn State and then got drafted by the Cardinals. So he goes out to Arizona. Joe Bugle was the coach, and he's throwing the ball all over the practice field. He's just like, beaning, trainers and stuff. And they asked him, what's your problem, John? He's like, well, I'm used to the college ball. And they told Bugle this, and Bugle's response was, well, he'd better get used to the NFL ball because I don't think they're going to change it for him.
Yeah. Hey, I always like this. I always have this test to people that say I am a lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, all right, then I have two words for you. Todd Blackledge.
And watch the expression on their face.
And if they have no expression, then I sit there and say, you're not a true Chiefs fan.
Mm-mm.
If you don't know I will say this, I don't want to say mockery. I want to say what Todd Blackledge did for years to the Kansas City Chiefs of a horrible draft decision, a horrible career, of what they just banked on Todd Blackledge for probably 5 years. It cost them big time.
Mm-hmm. And then they skipping on Dan Marino too. Could have had Dan Marino.
Yeah.
And again, back to our 30 for 30s, the Elway to Marino 30 for 30. If you've not seen it, folks, do yourself a favor. It's a top 5. You learn so much. You learn that Joe Montana was almost traded to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Oh, talk about some alternate universe stuff there. But
Yeah.
Dan Marino slides all the way down the entire first round. With that, we have reached the last call, brought to you by Black Dog Consulting. With over 38 years in the transportation industry, Dave knows where to look to find those pennies per mile that make the difference between just getting by and profit and growth. From one-truck operations to small fleet owners, he has a proven multi-million-dollar track record to help you retrieve bigger profits. If this is the growth you're looking for, contact Dave at 417-217-9622 or David at blackdogconsultingllc.net. You can also check out his website, blackdogconsulting.net. Black Dog Consulting, helping you retrieve bigger profits. Joe, what do you have for your last call?
Ron, we were talking about the college football expansion playoffs, how, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Notre Dame, we're all talking about that. The SEC, they said they're pretty happy with 16. But ESPN has mentioned or stated they are happy with the 12 or 14, but no more than 16. Okay. Now, if there was expansion, ESPN has a contract with the college football playoffs to the 31-32 season. Now, if they were to add games, that would open bidding for the additional games. Remember this. If Netflix was willing to spend $3 billion for wrestling, the current $7 billion to me would be not very much for Netflix or some other streaming service to say, we would love to have the college football playoffs.
No.
You expanded to 24, and we have this dollar of billions with 2 digits there in front of the B. What do you think? And there's ESPN going, whoa, wait a second. But no, it may end up, Ron, being, as we all know, where ESPN is trying to control this and the SEC versus everyone else.
Well, and yeah, that's one of the things that we heard early on was that we were getting, back to our extortion angle. If you don't expand, some conferences will break off and do their own thing.
Yes.
Specifically Big Ten and SEC.
And by the way, the Big Ten TV contract expires 2030. And the Big 12, 2031. Now, you sit there and say, the Big 12 isn't going to do it. Hey, but the SEC, they're looking for that money contract. So, Notre Dame's going to go with them.
Oh, yeah.
And the new Pac-12 is going to go, can we come? We'll go with whoever's doing this. Are you guys going to invite us? Are you? Gee, thanks. So then next thing you know, like you said, the 60 teams in college football have made their own, and the NCAA is like, you handle everything else.
Yeah.
We're going with all this.
The Pac-12 are the two guys in Animal House at the frat party that they take over and say, we've got a special place for you over here.
Yes.
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that the next 6 years in college football is going to be like something we've never seen before.
Well, I think the big change in it is Netflix.
Yeah.
Or Netflix may sit there and say, "Oh, ESPN, no, we have money too." So
right, and they've straight come out. They have just come out and said, we want to be the first streaming source for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. We shall see. And by the way, they have more NFL games this year than they've ever had. That was part of the schedule.
And the part of the scheduling, all those, though, oh my gosh, they've taken over Christmas Day. They're playing Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah.
That is, I think, on Netflix. They're playing Black Friday, I think, is on Netflix.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Joe Sperlin, we all of us love some good sports memorabilia, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, World Cup in the U.S. it was mid-90s last time it was here. Well, FIFA has come out with a new set of limited edition World Cup host city jerseys on its website. Now, there's 16 host cities, and they've only produced 999 of the kits or jerseys, So 999, 16 cities. What would you pay for one of these, limited edition kits?
I probably would not pay much, but I'm sure it's outrageous.
$375.
I'll be honest with you. I thought it would be more than that.
So again, there's 999 for each of the cities. If they sell every single one they do, that will generate $6 million in revenue, which should more than cover taking the sign off of the stadium. The first 4 were made available today. The shirts take their design from the official poster art, and they have a badge that says, are you ready for this? Football unites the world. I can almost hear John Facenda saying that.
Yeah.
And then so you're like, okay, that's a little bit much for a kit, but that's not all you get.
Oh, hey.
It's a premium box set, and it includes a certificate of authentication. It contains a dedicated jersey hanger.
Okay.
I can't make that up.
So you're really not supposed to wear these?
I'm guessing not.
Okay.
An exclusive collector's book, and this is the one that got my wife. Luxury boxed packaging.
Oh. So
There
now
you
you're not even supposed to open it.
So, after the first 24 hours, none of the 4 shirts have sold out in any of their size offerings. So, FIFA, the World Cup, the gift that just continues to give and give and give.
See, I thought you were going to say after 24 hours they sold out, and they're going to,
They'll be doing more. Yeah.
I got a great idea. Let's sell these jerseys. You can't wear them. You can't open them. And let's only make 999 of them.
Just look at them in their luxury box.
Yes.
So, with that, Joe Sperlin, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Like I said, always I like what the other guys are here on, but like I said, the AV, and then back at the beginning of where this show would have been done at halftime at an LSU football game.
Indeed, years and years ago. And we want to thank all of you for joining us on this edition of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. We will catch up with you next week. And until then, take care.
And that wraps another episode of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest episodes. You can find these guys on all major podcast platforms. And thanks for listening.